The Mi'kmaq peoples are those of the First Nation. They are said to be the first of the indigenous peoples to be settled on by the French colonists during the late 15th century. They have a rich tradition in language and writing. The Mi'kmaq people's writing system is comprised of alphabetical and symbolic pictographs that are still used by thousands today. The Mi'kmaq peoples reside mostly in the southeastern part of Canada, including Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, and Quebec, but also have populations in northeastern United States of Maine and Boston. They're considered among the original inhabitants of the Atlantic region of Canada and New England, according to McGee. McGee also states that through oral history and archaeological evidence place the Mi'kmaq in Mi'kma'ki more than 10,000 years, this being the land area in which they populate. As I've indicated, the Mi'kmaq peoples have a long oral and written tradition. Their stories are held deeply within a belief system carried by cosmology, animism, and mysticism. One oral mystical story foretells the arrival of European settlers, a Mi'kmaq woman's ancient premonition that people arrived in Mi'kma'ki, also floating island on floating islands, and a legendary spirit who traveled across the ocean to find blue-eyed people. Since the Mi'kmaq peoples are a living and adaptive people, their belief system was combined with Catholicism by the French settlers. However, their underlying deep-rooted beliefs are still held as a concrete foundation within their community. Animism is one important aspect of this foundation. According to Margaret Robinson, a Mi'kmaq woman and author of Animal Personhood and Mi'kmaq Perspective, the Mi'kmaq view of the world is rooted in our relationship with the other-than-human animals that share our territories. One example of this is the Mi'kmaq calendar, which half the months are directly named after the behavior of the animals during the season. The belief that humans and animals are related can be observed in the story of the beaver, magicians, and the big fish. The story goes, a Mi'kmaq hunter follows snowshoe tracks to a wigwam by a lake, where he finds an elderly man and his family. The elder offers him hospitality, feeds him moose meat, and gives him a store of meat to take home. However, when the hunter returns to his camp, his family discovers that the meat is actually poplar bark. The hunter realizes that he has dined with a powerful Buyan, a person of great spiritual power. Although actually a beaver and generations of his offspring in a lodge, the hunter had experienced the family as if they were other Mi'kmaq living together in a wigwam. This legend demonstrates that animals and humans are not only related but have spirits and consider themselves equal to human. One might ask how a people considers themselves equal to animals yet has a diet which is mainly made of fish and mammals. According to Robinson, the answer is in the Mi'kmaq belief that animals willingly sacrifice themselves to become food. A creation story with the Mi'kmaq archetype Glooskap explains this phenomena. Glooskap was created by the creator out of red clay. Glooskap then makes an old woman named Nakumi from dewy rock, and she becomes his grandmother. Nakumi needs to eat meat because she cannot live on plants and berries alone. Glooskap calls upon his friend Abistanush, the pine marten or small weasel. Glooskap asks him to sacrifice himself so that his grandmother can eat. Apistanush agrees, and to thank him and show his appreciation, Glooskap makes Apistanush his brother. Glooskap kills Apistanush and instantly regrets it, so Nakumi and the creator bring him back to life. Magically, the body of another marten lies on the ground, available to be eaten. Robinson explains that sometimes the story describes Apistanush as an animal and sometimes as a boy, further showing the interchangeable and equal nature between the humans and animals. Since humans and animals depend on each other, the Mi'kmaq peoples believe that respect should be given to animals so that they can live happily and reproduce, in turn offering an abundance of food. Therefore, when an animal is used for food, the bones are never burned. They are either buried and treated as a deceased friend, or their remains are used to make something. This usually includes tools, garments, drums, etc. One might ask, what do the animals receive in return for sacrificing themselves? Some important answers lie in the Mi'kmaq stories and the overall philosophy of how animals are treated within the tribal boundaries. Animals gain honor and respect along with kinship with the Mi'kmaq peoples. Kinship and or family are important aspects of Mi'kmaq culture, as in the creation story of Glooskap and his grandmother Nakumi. Glooskap calls upon his friend Apistanush to sacrifice himself to feed Nakumi. When he is sacrificed, his body dies, and his spirit then becomes Glooskap's brother. The animal spirit here is interchangeable with the human spirit. Again, the equality of humans and animals is demonstrated by the interchangeable spirituality and kinship. Honor and respect are two important qualities that are highly regarded within the Mi'kmaq community. Therefore, when an animal sacrifices him or herself to humans, gaining these attributes makes them equal. According to Robinson, respect is additionally expressed when the Mi'kmaq give thanks to animal sacrifice, generally in the form of prayers, to the animal spirit and to the Creator. or offerings. Offerings maybe include sacred medicines, sage, cedar, tobacco, and sweetgrass. Food or even jewelry are given at the time the animal is killed and at other times deemed appropriate. Another way respect is shown towards animals is providing a healthy environment for animals to thrive. The present-day Mi'kmaq community at Bear River First Nation practices principles of environmental never taking more than is needed, taking care of nature for generations yet to come, and not being wasteful. The equality of humans and animals within the Mi'kmaq community, as stated, can be seen through kinship, honor, and respect. Since this equality exists, their spirits are interchangeable as well as reincarnation is possible. A reincarnation and respect story involving the Wolverine brings another element to Mi'kmaq cosmology. In the Wolverine story, Wolverine invites a large number of birds in his wigwam, asks them to close their eyes, and then begins to kill them silently one after another. His young brother is distraught at the bloodlust because Wolverine has already killed more birds than he can eat. The younger brother whispers for the smallest bird to open his eyes, at which point the bird cries so the alarm of the remaining birds escape with the help of Wolverine's younger brother. There is both a karmic and reincarnation element to the story. Karma for treating animals and their remains with respect comes up again in the Invisible Boy story. The Invisible Boy, a Mi'kmaq child, thoughtlessly smashes the leg bone of a moose that his mother was saving for her husband. When the boy's aunt sees the smashed bone, she realizes that her brother is now lying in the woods with a broken leg, indicating that the hunter and his prey are connected on a physical and spiritual plane. At his death, the hunter transforms into a moose in order to feed his sister and then becomes a timul, or animal protector. Those souls of animals and people who do not reincarnate are said to go to Wasok, the land of souls. This is a sort of heaven where all souls, including humans and animals, coexist in harmony. Animals also sacrifice themselves for humans, are considered to have lived a successful life and permitted to enter Wasok. Some dysfunction due to early